All right, everyone. It's Nick and Ron with another edition of Ask Ron. How you doing today, Ron?
I'm good. We're sitting here in the middle of a quick start school,
All right.
taping this so we don't miss the week.
All right. Well, we got quite a few questions this week. So you ready to get started?
I am.
Okay. First question is from Orson in Georgia. Can FHA and VA be bought subject to?
Yes. Nobody can stop you from buying any loan subject to, no matter who the lender is.
All right. Brian from Colorado. So I have a property that I would like to buy. However, I am having trouble securing a private lender so far to lend me the money to buy the house. It will be a fixer-upper, so I'm curious about doing it as a wholesale. The numbers, the ARV is 1 million. The purchase price is 600,000. It needs 50 to 75,000 in repair, 4,400 square feet. I'm not sure about what it would rent for. It is a probate deal and will be available in the next 3 weeks.
All right. Well, the first thing that I would try to do is turn it into a short-term owner financing deal. Say maybe, listen, I'll give you your 600,000. I'll give you 25 down, and then I'll give you a 1-year balloon on the balance. And that means you could go get raised to 25, go ahead and close on it, take all the pressure off, and then you can decide whether wholesaling or rehabbing it is your best bet. Because honestly, you can put it under contract or whatever you want, but you're not going to close on it if you're going to rehab it till you get a bid on the repairs anyway, and you really don't have any idea what they are. You're just guessing at them right now. So if I can buy some time by doing short-term owner financing, then I want to do that. I'll go ahead and buy it, then I protect the deal. If that's not the case, then you don't have to just make the cash offer. Probably make it less than what they're asking, but you ought to get yourself at least 90 days to close. And your market is limited for the number of investors that want a deal that size, but there's still plenty of them out there, and it looks like you've got plenty of room to give them enough profit to incentivize them to go get the money themselves. You're new at this. I would not go get a private loan to buy and renovate that house. That is not one you want to start with.
All right. And he's asking if you think he might be able to get 50,000 in an assignment fee.
Easy. Yeah. Easy. Wouldn't take any less.
Sharon says, I'm a little confused because you said the deposit from the buyer is yours to keep, yep. But I also recall you saying that the deposit goes toward their payment of the house.
It does.
So how does that work?
You get the money, and then when and if they ever go to the bank and get a loan, it'll show on the closing statement as that you've received it. No different than any other earnest money deposit. You don't have to bring it to closing. It just shows as a credit on the closing statement. You're not a realtor. You're not holding money for somebody else. So there's no escrow account you have to put it in. If they buy, it gets credited. If they don't buy, then they lose it.
Bartos says, what happens when a renter stops paying rent?
Well, if it's a lease option and they've given you a whole bunch of money and they stop paying rent, then you have a party. Because that means they're either going to start paying rent or you're going to get them out and get somebody else in there and collect another big deposit. I got to tell you, though, you're worrying about the wrong things, because people who give you thousands of dollars up front pay the rent. Because if they don't, they know they're going to lose that big option deposit. So you got this confused with tenants, not tenant buyers.
All right, Robert says, how do you keep the equity payment reduction without the tenant purchaser wanting it?
Frankly, I can't remember any of them ever asking for it, but if they ask for it, they're not going to get it. If somebody says, is my rent going to be credited toward my house price? No. If you want to get your debt paid down, then go to the bank and get a loan. But you're renting now; you get no credit toward your purchase price.
Roman says, how do you make sure that you have a person who's going to maintain the monthly lease payment? You already answered that.
The biggest pre-screening criteria there is get a lot of money from them. I'll say it again. When you get $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 down from a tenant buyer, you need to quit worrying about them making the rent payments. In fact, you might find yourself wishing they wouldn't from time to time. Remember, you can't lose. They don't pay, they don't stay. They don't stay, you go do it again and get another non-refundable deposit, unlike when you're renting it to a tenant.
Mario from British Columbia says, how do you ask the seller to make the first 3 payments when the deal is in a virtual market?
I don't ask them, Mario. I tell them this is what we're going to do. It's a condition of my purchase. I'm not going to beg them. It's this way I want to buy your house. And if they want to, they can't live with that, and want to argue about that somewhat, then I have to give up on that. I'm going to try to get a concession on something else. And it's not going to kill my deal, I can tell you that right now. If the deal's so close that 2 extra payments are going to kill it, well, then it's too close to begin with. But you are going to be shocked when you learn how to present it correctly, how little resistance you get when the sellers find out that they're going to be making the next couple payments. There's a script right in my boot camp manual here that answers that question. And the things that we're worried about, honestly, by the questions you guys are asking this week, it tells me you haven't been trained, and your biggest focus right now should be on getting the training, because all the stuff you're worried about is just not real, doesn't happen, and if it does, there's an easy solution for it.
Okay, his question was in reference to you usually waiting until the deal meeting to do that. So
I always wait till I get to the house or the last.
Right. So his question is virtual. So how do you do it virtually?
Well, first of all, if I do it virtually, that means we've already come to some kind of a tentative agreement on the phone. And then if I'm going to go to the house, I go to the house. If I can meet them there, I do it there. If I can't, then I got to get back on the phone and do it on the phone with them while we're finalizing the deal and negotiating anything that's left to discuss.
Okay. Mario again, have you ever burned out doing real estate even though you made good money? When you can barely stand getting calls from sellers and lost interest in the business because so much crap happened to you?
Yeah, my first couple of years, it was exactly what was happening. The whole day was answering the telephone, answering the same questions over and over again, loaded with minutia, didn't understand outsourcing, delegating, any of that stuff. Many times I asked myself, man, is this how you got to get rich? Because this ain't fun. And then I started learning to get that junk out of my way and delegating it. And today I don't hardly do anything, and that's what you're working toward. Systemization, delegation, automation, it all comes with training, on Planet Ron, because frankly, we're going to have a hard time getting you to do that than we are learning how to buy real estate, because I've got to change your habits, and that's not easy.
All right, Ron, you've probably answered this many times before.
I'm sure.
This is from Gary in Utah. This is a hypothetical on an existing deal. Current ARB is $500,000. Mm-hmm. Seller's low is $485,000. Mm-hmm. Nothing down. Monthly to seller is $2,000. Mm-hmm. Buyer paid $40,000 down and is paying $2,500 per month. The hypothetical part: in 3 years, the buyer bails on the deal. Mm-hmm. New ARB in 3 years is $375,000.
So the value's going to go down, huh?
Seller does not want to extend the term. How would you handle this situation?
Well, first of all, that's a hypothetical baloney situation. But let's say it happens, because you're a thinker brain and you're always planning for the worst, which is okay. Worst can happen is you give the house back to the seller. That's the worst that can happen. At the end of the term, the seller only has 2 choices: take the house back, which you gladly give it to him, or extend the term. And frankly, why would the seller want to take the house back if the amount they owe is less or more than what the house is worth? Now, that happened in 2008. I really don't see that happening going forward. We got a totally different deal than we had then, and we dealt with it, frankly. And if the buyer did want to cash us out, we just got seller's cooperation to short sale it and discounted the amount that we owed the bank and got the loan paid off, and everybody won. Guys, your questions are good, but everything you're asking is easy to fix, especially if you just get a little bit of help when you don't know the answer. You don't have, or you will not have, a problem in real estate that you can't solve with a little bit of effort.
All right, Troy from Louisiana says, before hearing about you over the past several years, I've acquired 15 rental properties, all single-family homes.
Before hearing about me? Man, you're going to be dangerous when you know what you're doing.
I now have 2 that are vacant, and I would like to attempt what you would recommend.
Lease purchase.
I'm thinking of lease optioning to buy, owner finance them, but I don't know the best way to do this or the proper terms to implement.
Purchase. Keep the ownership, keep the depreciation, keep the machine going, and keep the appreciation, which you won't get if you sell it with owner financing. You lease purchase it and you move out, raise the price according to the market, and that's my favorite exit strategy. In fact, you want to get wealthy, don't sell the asset that's producing the golden eggs. Keep the golden goose alive.
All right, so some clarifying questions on there. Do I do a 5-year lease or shorter?
Nope. I don't ever put a tenant buyer in a house for more than 2 years, but make no mistake, I don't move them out, they don't pay in 2 years. I've got tenants in houses right now, I've been there 10, 12 or years or more. Option expired a long time ago, but they're still in there paying rent, paying off my houses for me, and they're still doing the repairs with their own money. So again, keep the goose alive.
All right.
I've never moved anybody because their option expired.
Does the money collected from the rental term go to the purchase price of the property, or is it separate?
Huh?
Does the rent that I receive go toward the purchase price?
No. We don't give any rent credits to tenant buyers.
Homes appraised around $125,000 each. Do I sell them at that price or another price point?
I always sell them for more than what they'll appraise for. Always. I'm selling them on terms, they're worth more.
All right, he asked about what interest rate is proper, but that would not apply.
It's irrelevant what interest rate you charge. It's about how high you can get the payment to be. It's way more important to you than the interest rate.
Yeah, well, there wouldn't be an interest rate if you lease options it, right?
So that's true. Right.
All right, also, what about Dodd-Frank Act? Does this restrict me from selling other properties on terms as well?
If you're selling more than 3 a year with owner financing, then Dodd-Frank will kick in. But again, lease options is irrelevant to Dodd-Frank. So you better get some legal help if you're selling with owner financing, because complying with Dodd-Frank is no big deal, really. Honestly, you just have to have an RMLO, they call it. I'm not going to get into that, but if you're going to sell with owner financing, get some legal help before you start to do that. But even then, you got to do 3 a year before it even matters.
All right.
Yeah.
That's all the questions for this week.
All right. See you next week.
Thanks, Ron.